I saw this today and thought of you. Could be a non-related plexus thing that could get them back into the conversation. So that's one thing you might do. Another way to go at it is to just be very transparent. Like I wrote a message the other day to a friend of mine and said, oh my gosh, like I'm looking back and I'm realizing that I got so excited. I just completely bombarded you. Let's take 3 steps back. What's one question you have right now? And that can be re-engaging. Sometimes even that isn't enough. Sometimes it might even be the statement, I've sent you a few messages and I'm not hearing back from you. Is there something that's not quite sitting right with you? Is there something that I can do to help, make this easier for you, or I'm grabbing at words right now, but Tanya often comes up with them really quickly. But it's that whole concept of what can I do for you? Like, what can I do for you to make this conversation easier? And sometimes that's all it takes to get them to re-engage. And the biggest piece is that it's actually probably not about you. Even if you did puke plexus at them, even if maybe you didn't choose the right words, even if you went at the wrong speed for them, it's really not about you. So you have to remove that whole, oh my gosh, I screwed it up, I ruined it, so now I have to walk away. Chances are it's about them. They may be busy. I know Tanya was talking about somebody the other day with me, I forget if it was in training or with me, but talking about this person that hadn't been engaging. And then when she came, she said, this is what's been going on in my life, like boom, 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 boom. Like, we're like, oh my gosh, no wonder you're not answering messages like that. So it's probably not about you. Even if you feel like I went at it the wrong way, I said the wrong thing, I didn't choose the right product, I puked, it doesn't matter. It really wasn't about you. It's about them. So when you retake that it's about them stance, you make that next invitational move about them and re-invite them into the conversation. So like I said, it can be, a birthday greeting. It can be starting up a conversation, non-plexus oriented. It can be just as transparent as, oh my gosh, did I say too much? Any of those things that invites them back into the conversation. That's what you want to do. Is that what you were talking about when you talk about stalled conversations, Tanya? What did I miss?
Yes. Okay. So like just to further that a little bit, but that's great. That's awesome stuff. What I wanted to say is a couple of things. First of all, it is not about you. It's never about you. It's about them. And that can mean a lot of different things. So don't hang on to it and don't own it because it's not you. Okay. But the idea of re-engaging is all about making it about them, like Julie said, and inviting them to do something different than you've done before. So you might be inviting them to have a phone call about it. You might be inviting them to look at a new product. You might be inviting them to come to the meeting that we're going to have tomorrow night, which is a pop-up on Opportunity of Hope. It's going to be super quick, 30 minutes in and out, and they don't even, am I cleared, everybody?
You're kind of stally, that's all.
Okay.
But
how am I now?
Now is better.
Okay.
But you were kind of robotic there for a minute.
Okay, gotcha. I could tell. Yeah. By the way you guys looked. Am I still? What is this?
No, it seems to be working now.
My fiber op's supposed to rock. Anyway, so the whole concept is that you want to be inviting people and engaging people and making it all about them. So my suggestion to you would be that if you've had a fallen conversation, meaning that, you've sent messages, they seemed interested, they're no longer interested, that you keep it short and sweet, like Julie said, and to the point. Something that I often do if I've been having a conversation and suddenly it stops is I'll just simply say, hey, listen, we had a really great conversation going, and there must be a reason that it stopped. And I'm just wondering, am I delivering this content to you too quickly? Is there something that you would prefer? Like maybe it's a video person and you've been sending them documents, or maybe you sent them one document and it was too long. Like it can depend on a whole lot of things. At least that will open up the conversation. But like Julie said, the other invitations are to products and that kind of thing. To keep the conversation going always, it's about the invitation. So, hey Tammy, how you doing? It's great to, you came across my mind today. And you know what, I'd really like to open up our conversation about. I really would. I'd like to open up our conversation about, next steps in our conversation, because I have this great product that I'd really like to send you some info on. If I sent you a video, would you watch it? We've done this whole if I then you a lot on this training, because if I then you puts them into action. Okay. If I then you, or would you, pardon me. Super important. Okay. It's always important to add that, because that's making them accountable. But the great thing about it is that we have the opportunity to reach out to somebody. And I don't know if you guys saw the memory jogger, the Eric Worre memory jogger that I put on our page, on our Power of Three page. But that memory jogger is amazing. And it is full of great information, including what we're talking about right now. So the most important thing you can do when you're reaching out to somebody from a following conversation is to make it all about them. They crossed your mind because, and that needs to be authentic. Okay. Or, hey, I was thinking about you. Remember the time that we, and it just brought me back to our conversation. I realized, you know what, our conversation fell away. Right. And that gives you the opportunity to kind of re-engage with them. And I'm, like Julie said too, super transparent all the time. Like I'll even say to somebody, listen, I got to be honest with you. I'm not sure what happened, and then follow that. Like, would you be willing to set it aside for a little bit of time to chat with me about it? I'd love to share with you why I think this would be so great for you. And if it's not a good fit for you, no problem. No problem at all. We'll just continue to talk about our bowling league or whatever it is that you want to talk about. But follow up is really that simple. It's all about having that authentic conversation with somebody. Making sure that you make it about them means that you're going to compliment them, that you're going to bring something up that's relevant, that you're going to be authentic in the situation. You're going to invite them to look at something. You're going to make sure that you create that commitment from them. So if you say to them, like, for example, one of my friends referred somebody to me tonight, which was really nice of her. And so she referred somebody to me tonight who has a thyroid issue. So right before we went on the call, I was just grabbing the information sheet, because I reached out to her. I said, listen, Christine has connected us. Really excited to talk to you. I'm just wondering, before I send you information, would you prefer a document or a video? And she responded back with document. One second. So I said, great. So if I send you this document, will you watch it tonight? Or will you look at it tonight? And her response was, yes, I will. My response was to get the commitment from her. And I asked her, I said, so listen, if you watch this tonight or look at this tonight, that's awesome. Can I reach back to you tomorrow? And she said, yes, tomorrow would be better. I said, okay, if I reach back to you in the morning, would that be suitable, or would you prefer the afternoon? I'm always giving her a choice, but I'm making her make a commitment so that it creates a sense of urgency for them. And that's really what follow-up is about. It's about creating that importance. They're important. What you're telling them is important, and getting to the root of the problem is important. Everything is urgent and important. And notice that none of the language that I'm using is pushy or forceful, because we don't want to convince anybody of anything. But we know that we have key phrases that we can use, and we can use them when we're prospecting, but we can also use them when we're following up. I want to give you an example of when I didn't follow up and I kicked myself in the pants. So I reached out to a girl and I followed up with her 3 or 4 times. And then I was very new at the business, and Julie and I basically were learning as we went. We didn't really have any training. We were just learning off of YouTube. And so anyway, I didn't reach out again, because I was like, well, she clearly doesn't want this, and I'm clearly turning her off, and I'm clearly never going to have her on my team. Or guess what? She joined somebody else. Mm-hmm. She did. I saw her on the team page, and I was like, well, my bad. Because that was my fault, not the other person's fault. They wanted to join them because they were more they followed up and they loved on that person, and they made it a point to get the conversation with that person. Okay. I'm not going to say who that person is. I'm just going to tell you right now, but because you probably all know who it is. But it's happened to me, and I went, oh man, but I didn't go, oh, I suck at this and I'm not doing this anymore. Obviously I didn't, because that was a long time ago. But I'm just going to tell you that I learned a valuable lesson in follow-up that day. I didn't learn how to do it better. I just learned that I needed to do it more. And the average amount of reach outs that we have to do to follow up with somebody, this is a crazy amount. Yeah, 7+. 7+. That's a lot. It seems like a lot, doesn't it? And that doesn't mean 7 messages back and forth. That means 7+ occasions. So you might have 10 messages on each occasion. It seems like a lot, but guess what? If that person joins you and becomes a business partner, or joins you and becomes a product lover, and they order every month, or they grow a team, well, then isn't that worth that residual income? Yes, absolutely it is. So that follow-up piece is super important, very important. And I can't stress enough too, keeping the dialogue going on Facebook or on Instagram, whichever platform you're going to use, is really important. I know that we're talking now, this is kind of like crossing over into another topic a little bit, but not really. You need to stay engaged with your network by loving and commenting on as much stuff as you can of theirs. Use that custom Facebook friends video and learn how to do it, and make your custom list of your connections, your people on your list whom you've not prospected that you need to connect with and build those relationships with, because those are the people who are your potential customers. They're sitting right there. That's your warm market, we call it. And, converting those people with a relationship building piece is so important. They're watching you. We see proof of it every single day. Every time I go to the grocery store, oh, I just loved your post about the thing on the thing 2 days ago at 6:13 in the morning. Like, people are watching you. They are watching you. And they won't show you necessarily, but that's part of that relationship piece. You're reminding them that you're there. It all really is this trifecta of stuff that just spins. Like, it all matters. Everything matters to everything. Go ahead, Julie. Sorry.
No, I want to jump in, because it also is pertinent to say, because Tanya started with that whole, you gotta be commenting, you gotta be commenting on people. And that comes out again in the video that posted about today's support. If you are not doing that, they are not actually going to see your post. So when Tanya says, those people say, I saw your post today, those are the people that are seeing Tanya's post because Tanya continuously, deliberately, purposefully, and daily goes in and spends time commenting on those people's posts. If you're not doing that, the algorithm is going to boot them out. They're not going to see your stuff. And Tara Berger talks about it in her video about, it's all well and good. She said, don't do the scrolly thing, which we've told you before, but even also doing the commenting thing. If you're only going to comment on Plexus people, you're going to do this amazing Plexus post, and then you're going to be like, oh gosh, there's only Plexus people commenting on it. Yeah, they're the only ones who saw it because you didn't go show love on those other people. So you've got to absolutely do that. You've got to be commenting on people. So here's another strategy, okay? In addition to the list building, and in addition to making purposeful time as part of your IPA to go and build on that relationship piece, here is another way to think about building relationships. You know how on our IPA sheet it says friend 3 new people? Okay. And there are days when you're like maybe you're using those people thing. You're like, I don't really know any of those people. Fine then. Don't friend 3 new people. Go re-engage with people that you haven't been engaged with. So it may be somebody who's actually already a friend on Facebook, but because you haven't seen or heard from them in a long time, you're going to go send them a messenger message and re-engage in the relationship building. Okay, so that's another way to get at that. So you can be working on your list and commenting on their posts, but if it's people whose posts you're not even seeing, I mean, you could argue, you could put them in the search. Oh, I thought of Fred. I haven't talked to Fred. I know him on Facebook. You could search Fred, go find his most recent post and comment on that. But if his most recent post was 2 weeks ago, that seems kind of weird that all of a sudden you're posting on his post from 2 weeks ago. So instead, just send him a message. Fred, haven't seen you in the longest time. What have you been up to? That
Turn it
can
off if you want.
count as that relationship building piece too. So I just wanted to insert that there, Tanya.
Yeah, thank you. And just as a follow-up to that too, you know the birthday piece on your IPA sheet where or is that on this
It's not on this one.
Okay.
It's not on this one, actually. It's on the one that we used to use, and I forgot to mention that when I did that very too much long video about IPA sheet. I forgot to mention.
You guys could add a birthday section on your IPA sheet. What I do is when there's non-Plexus people having birthdays, I send them a private message, wish them happy birthday, and ask them if I could send them a pink drink sample as a token for their birthday. So that's something that and that's a great way to start the relationship start the conversation about Plexus without really starting it. I mean, you're putting it in their hands. You can follow up, there that word is again, in a couple of days and see if it's arrived. And then you can send them a little video on how to take it. People like that. And I've had a few customers join me over time for that. Go ahead, Julie.
And there are 8 million ways to follow up. So I had somebody in my physical office, never comments, doesn't say much, whatever, but came up to me. She said, so that new face stuff you're using, tell me a little bit about that. So I told her a little bit about it. Well, I told her quite a bit about it. And then she's like, oh yeah, okay, thanks. And she walked away. So that's all right, because I'm going to be delivering samples tomorrow. And what day was that today? Yeah, that was Monday. So I'm next going to be in the office on Thursday. Guess what I'm going to have with me, right? So, it's going to be an excuse to walk down to her office and say, hey, you asked me about that the other day. Look, my samples came. And then re-engage in the conversation. So, I mean, you can do it in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So many different ways. It's follow-up is basically continue the conversation. And you need to do it with people, like we said at the beginning, people that reached out to you, people that you've reached out to and it's working, people that you've reached out to and it's stalled, people that you reached out to a long time ago, and people that haven't reached out, or people that are already customers and ambassadors. You're always following up with everybody.
Yeah. And if you are not in a position right now to give samples to people, that's fine. Because conversation is a great way to follow up. That's another spoke on the wheel if you wanted to use that. Yeah. Let's talk about how we keep track of follow-up. So there's a lot of different ways you can do it, but not keeping track of it is not a good way. So I've had a lot of people, and guys, these are normal mistakes that people make, and I don't even know if I should call it a mistake. Normal bumps in the road or things we encounter as we grow. So I once had someone say, man, I went back through my messenger and I had 80 people to follow up with. I forgot about them. 80 people. You can go gold with 20. If you've not followed up with 80, now I'm not saying anybody on here has done that. I'm just saying it's possible. Because if you're not feeling secure, which is we're going to talk about that in a minute too, then it creates a barrier for you to do that. And it's easy to just kind of go, well, that person doesn't want it, I'll move on. It's a numbers game. I'm just going to keep talking to new people. Well, yes, you do have to do that too, but you've got to go back and follow up. So I have a bunch of ways that I have tried for follow up and things that I have used. And I'm sure if we opened up the conversation, everybody would have their own jam for that, right? The most effective way that I have for keeping, for me personally, in my style of learning and the way that I am, and something that's manageable for me to stay with. Mm-hmm. This is the other thing. It's got to be simple and maintainable. You can actually get apps that take care of this for you. They remind you of things. You can put stuff in. So for some people, they get all bogged into the data input and all of that for those things. Same with an Excel spreadsheet. It's another great way to keep track. But if you don't if you're always operating from your phone and you're on the fly all the time, then that might not be a good fit for you. Okay. When I'm home in the summertime, a spreadsheet's great because my computer's there. I'm home. The kids are playing in the thing in the background, and they're playing outside, and I can just grab my computer and add whatever I need to add, and then I can look in the column that tells me in 3 days I got to follow up with so and so, and it's time for me to follow up and so and so. I can use that when I'm home. When I'm working full time, I find it really difficult. I'm being very, very honest here. I find it really hard to keep track of that kind of system. I find I need almost like a data entry person because I'm talking to so many people. So what is working for me right now is I have a book and it's got my IPA sheets in it. I'll show it to you. It's just a binder. It's nothing fancy pants. It's really heavy though because it's got a lot of paper in it. But I've just got little tabbies, just like old fashioned, like grade 8. So I've got like my contacts and my lists. So my Facebook friends list, my most recent one that I've printed off, and it's all highlighted and messy now because I've transferred those people over to just a normal list on a piece of loose leaf, and that is the truth. And I'm making notes on that piece of loose leaf for those people, and that's how I'm doing it right now, but it's what's working for me. Once they've joined me, I put a line through their name, and until they join me, I do not put a line through their name. And it doesn't matter if it's as a customer or as an ambassador. I don't put a line through their name unless for some reason they show up on the team page and they're not mine. That's the other way. But that's only ever happened a couple of times. So that's what I'm doing that's what I'm doing for mine. Okay. And it's working really, really well. I'm able to keep track. I feel like it's organized and it's in a place. I can chuck it in my briefcase to go to school. It sits on my kitchen table pretty much every night of the week. And it's just super easy. So that's a method that I use. I'm just wondering, would anyone like to share a follow-up method that they're using? Like, I'm not a follow-up method, a way of keeping track of their follow-ups, pardon me. Okay, so let me put you this way. How many of you have an ongoing list and you're keeping track of it in a binder? Raise your hand. Okay, good. How many of you keep a spreadsheet? How many of you are working just off of Messenger and you just kind of scroll back up and you find your people that you've reached out to? Anybody doing it that way? Okay, I'd be interested if it wasn't one of those 3 things, if you could pop it in the chat and tell us what you're using, how you're keeping up, and how you keep track.
And while you're typing that, I got to tell you, I've tried all of these. And sometimes, sadly, I'm in flux between them all. And I invested a lot of time last July in getting my spreadsheet all set up. And for the very same reasons that Tanya's talking about, I have not remained faithful to it. So after being in a binder system a long time ago and thinking, oh, I've got to come into the new world, I've got to go a digital version, and taking all the time to transfer it, I should have stuck with my stupid binder in the beginning. So now I'm all over the place. It's bad. So you really have to ask yourself the question, how am I going to work best? What's going to work for me? And it doesn't matter what it looks like, what color it is, and what anybody else thinks of it, because this is when it is about you. This is when it is about you. What am I going to use and stick with, and maybe even need to be portable, or if it's not portable, that's fine, whatever method that is, but you have got to figure out that method. This is what needs to be, and I'm telling you, do it now before you have reached out to 800 people, because it gets really hard to play backtrack.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're looking at, so follow up. It's huge, huge. Start doing it now if you haven't been doing it, and maybe you're new and you're just starting to reach out to people. Before we get to the belief in yourself to actually execute this, right? I want to ask, how many days do you think that you should have between follow-ups? So let's say you had a conversation with somebody, they were really excited about the Slim. Yeah, that sounds great. I really want that. That sounds amazing. I'm totally into it. And then bam, it stops. The conversation's over. How many days should you go before you reach out? 3 to 5, Angie says. Candace says 2 days.
You guys are too quiet.
Mm.
We promise we will not whip you or beat you if you put up an answer and it's not the right one. There we go. Here they come.
Depends on the number of follow-ups you're on, meaning like how many times you followed up, Angie. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you're right. If it's, yeah, I agree with that, because if you've done that 3 or 4 times, then probably you're going to wait until it's a proper time. Like you're going to wait for to pivot to a new product or a sample or something that caught your eye that you thought they'd be interested in, right? Or an event. Events are great, and there's lots and lots coming up. So I would have to agree. Like I'll let something sit for a couple of days, and then I get back to it. I don't. When it's a follow-up, I really only go 2 days, 3 days tops. Now, if it's somebody that I've 2 days and 3 days followed up with, like Angie said, 3 or 4 times, then I'm probably going to give it longer. Like I'm going to wait for an authentic reach out. Because by then you've used all the things we've suggested. You've made the invitation. You've asked for the commitment. You've offered the tools, meaning the video or the document. You've offered the 3-way call maybe. So by then, that's when, yes, the follow-up could be more spread out. Julie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, the problem is there is no scripted answer. So you have to really give consideration to what has the conversation been, what is the nature of the relationship, and how can I, best re-engage in the conversation. But I must say, if you're getting that whole, oh, maybe it's too soon, you have to do your check. Is it that it's too soon, or is that your fear speaking, right? Mm-hmm. And we're gonna talk more about fear another night, but like it's probably not too soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have to say, like, how you believe in your message comes across when you're messaging somebody. And that doesn't matter if you're prospecting or if you are, following up. If you are passionate and you're like pumped up before you send the message and you believe every word in your message, and with every fiber of your being, you mean the words that you're saying to the person that you're sending them to, and you're totally into it, it comes across. It's almost like you're there. It's almost like your voice is speaking it. It's the next best thing. And it really is a powerful thing. So don't discount that. And make sure, is it John Maxwell who says, listen to some pumped up music before you sending it, or no, it's Eric Roy. Listen to some pumped up music before you send the message, or like go for a run around your house, or dance with your kids first, or do something that makes you feel excited, and then that's when you want to sit down, because that helps you breed momentum in your message. And also it'll have you sending another one and another one and another one, because you'll be feeling on fire. And as long as you're being authentic and honest and true, then that's what you need, right? And the excitement can come just from, crafting a message that you like and making it simple. One thing I would also say, like, I make that sound super easy, right? Is that always the case for me? No. But but I've rarely made excuses and not tried to get into that zone so that I got my daily IPA done. And honestly, there are days when I might not feel like it, and I make myself do it. Because if I want to reach my goals, I have to. I don't have any choice. And that's just the bottom line. Because if I start, not following up, not posting, not reaching out, not taking my products, not drinking, like all of those things work together. And that's why follow-up is just such a key part of IPA. One thing I would also say before we go, and we will do a session on belief and mindset and fear, we're going to be talking about that, is I've said this before, and it's a quote from Sarah Marble, but I need to say it again because I don't want you to look left or right. And I say this at school too. I quote Sarah Marble at school, okay? Comparison is the thief of joy. If you are comparing yourself, look over here, Billy Bob's got 14 new ambassadors, and I watched Rock the Pink live last night, and the Instagram girl got 45 new ambassadors last month. And, so-and-so's got 3 new customers, and, they're all going to convention. And don't do that. You are riding your own pony here, guys. This is your jam. This is your business. And you're going to go at your pace. And I want to tell you something else too. Another thing about Sarah Marble, in case you don't know this already, is that Sarah Marble took 9 months to go silver. Or is it 7? It's one of those two, and it doesn't really matter which one. 8. No, is that 7? Sorry, I thought you had your thumb up. How many is this, Robbie? She took, did you say 7? You did. 7 months to go silver. Guys, she's diamond. She said, one day, I just said to myself, I got to do this the way that I'm being told to do this, instead of like being scared to do this and not being full on with that. And when she did, she went silver, and then she went gold, and then she went senior gold, and she just ripped through the rubies, and she became an emerald. And she brought her mom on board to do it with her. So that's just, I think that's really inspiring. And I actually appreciate that story so much more than somebody who went diamond in a year. I don't know about you guys, because it really shows that it does not matter, that comparison. And that's why she's using that quote, because she's lived that. And I think, if you're comparing yourself to others, whether it's here in this call or whether it's on Freedom Revolution or, whatever, it doesn't matter. That's definitely not income producing activity. That's going to drag you down, and it's going to it's going to stall you. So it's just, you know what I'm saying? Did I miss anything, Julie? Oh, I have you muted. Sorry, because you were crumpling paper. Sorry, I did.
That was my hubby. That's all right. That just shows the power of the headphones.
Oh, it does.
So I'm glad you did. Yeah. He can't hear you. But no, I think that's absolutely critical and important. And it's what keeps you going, right? So you've just got to focus, like the whole time that you're prospecting and the whole time that you're following up, you're focused on them. And the whole time that you're pumping yourself up and looking at, okay, what are my next steps? You're focused on you and nobody else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Yes, absolutely. So if we look at, speaking of like next steps and stuff like that, so we're going to continue to have support and homework and training in our group. This is actually the 1 week of our challenge. So we still have time for people to get in and go silver. So the deadline isn't this training. The deadline would be tonight at midnight for that, to get a ballot in the silver. For the silver prize, which is really, really nice prize. You guys are going to love it. And, again, don't look left or right, look straight ahead, because, there is some real value to following back up with those people that you followed up, that you first reached out to, and maybe they're going to be the ones to grab you onto codes or onto the $12.53 cheaper sign on this month.
Awesome possum. The other thing about as we're going forward is that we've really had a very intense first 7 days of this support. And that's really important and critical to upfront tell you about some things we're looking for and things we're working on, things that need to be a part of your practice. You're going to see a slight bit of slowdown, just a slight bit of slowdown over the next few days, because what we want you to do is be focusing that time on your actions.
Yes.
Okay. So you need to keep an eye on this page. You need to be checking in every day. But there are going to be days when there isn't a training, there isn't maybe a must do for the day, because the expectation at this point is that your must do every day, whether we've said it or not, is your IPA. Like that's your must do every day. And so now you're accountable to you about maintaining that. And again, a habit, it takes, some literature says 21 days, some says more. You have to do it every day for at least 21 days for it to become a habit. And the goal is that it becomes so ingrained in what you do that it would hurt to not do it. Like you're like, ooh, something's missing when you don't do it. That's what you're headed for. Okay. So that is actually your must do homework every day from here on out to the end of your Plexus business, really, is to do your IPA. But in terms of this challenge, your homework over tonight and is that we're going to want you to think about what are 3 things that you're going to focus on your follow-up. So you probably are going to think about that tonight and in the morning, okay? And you can put that on this post. We'll have to edit the top of this. Oh my gosh! Oh, good, you recorded. Okay, so when she posts the recording, Tanya can tag that this is called May 15th homework. You probably are going to end up doing it on the 16th, and that's fine. But it's 3 things that really struck with you about follow-up. It can be from this particular training we did, or it can be from the video if you watch the support training from today. 3 things that are going to stick with you as you move forward with your follow-up. And then over the next few days, there's going to be things we're going to still be posting for you. But I needed to say that your everyday absolute must homework is your IPA.
Awesome. Now I know some of you are probably planning on attending the gold training that we're going to do in 1 minute.
So we better finish.
So we're going to wrap things up, and we hope to see you on that training. I'm going to post it on One Big Team. Yeah, One Big Team here in a second. For just so that we wouldn't end up having the gold people popping into this training, I hadn't posted it until the moment. So so have an amazing week. I'm sure most of us will be chatting with each other anyway. We tend to touch base here and there and everywhere. So thanks, Julie, for your great words tonight. And thank you all for attending and for sticking with it. You're doing an awesome job. See you. Bye.